and welcome to It's Already In You podcast. We are your hosts, Liz
and Jenine, nutrition and movement experts, mothers and business owners, obsessed with helping you quiet the noise of diet culture.
Seeing through the false advertising and promises of our food and fitness industries, helping you discover that everything you need to upgrade your health and well-being is already in you. Hey guys, we are back from our holiday hiatus and we are here, Jenine and I, with Janine's daughter, Dylann, her youngest daughter. And today we've actually been talking about doing this episode for a long time because it's interesting just to get different perspectives from people at different stages in their lives. And so to have a young adult in here that goes to college and has understandably a lot of maybe temptation of things that maybe might not support your health in the best way can be hard to navigate. But as you guys know, Jenine, her pretty much their whole lives, right, has been pretty diligent and passionate about making sure that they're consistent with what goes into their bodies, on their bodies, all of that stuff. And so Jenine will talk in a moment, but this is going to be an honest conversation. Before we turn or press play, we were like, okay, you're not going to get in trouble for saying anything in terms of like maybe what she's tried or not tried or her own personal perspective as a young adult. So Jenine, first, hi Dylann.
Hi.
Welcome. She's home from college break.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Jenine, just kind of give a little summary. I know if people have been listening for a while, they have a sense of your passion behind this, especially with your kids, but kind of just give a sense of how Dylann grew up at Madison.
Yes. So when the girls were born, when Dylann was born, it was, she was born and my mother-in-law died the day after. And my mother-in-law had cancer and my sister-in-law had done so much research on food and environment and the effects of Western diet on disease, et cetera, et cetera. And I was a exercise physiology major, nutrition minor, worked in health promotion. My whole nutrition ideals shifted when I met my sister-in-law and started to hear a little bit of a different view on nutrition, right? Which is in the fitness world, if you know, most of us that have been in fitness for a long time, it's all about like calories in, calories out, and steamed chicken and boiled broccoli or whatever.
Yes,
baked chicken and steamed broccoli was like the right fit dinner or whatever you want to call it. And I never thought about anything else other than clean. It was clean food, but not in the regard that we speak to clean food today, like grilled, not fried, things like that. And then when my mother-in-law was diagnosed, we all really started to get into researching nutrition in other countries, things that promoted like cancer patients in other countries, supported them during cancer and all of that. So the more I dug my heels in and started to research, the more I was invested in wanting my kids to eat better. And of course, when I was pregnant with Madison, it was before all this had happened. So I definitely made conscious decisions of like, oh, I drink Diet Coke and now I'm pregnant, so that doesn't seem right. But I didn't know what I know, right? So my mother-in-law passed away the day after we brought Dylann home from the hospital. And it was basically like in my head, like I am going to try and build a foundation for my kids so that I can decrease the risk of them ever having disease or illness as much as I possibly can in my control. So, we ate pretty much, I would say, 90% organic. At the time, I didn't realize what I know now. And I'm sure that Dylann will tell you that like things did change because I was learning as we were going. So something might have been okay in the right household at one point, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, no, that's not good. We can't do that anymore. So, I always speak to this as a spectrum, right? Like some people are all the way over to one side and they're eating McDonald's and drinking soda, and all the way over to the other side where they're like perfect in this place where they're growing their own food and they don't drink anything but osmotic water, right? Like, so there, we basically have traveled on this spectrum and have learned things along the way. But for the most part, if they had a party at school, if they were going to a friend's house for a play date, I would pack whatever they were going to have. If I found out that it was ice cream day at school, I mean, I got really particular in that, like, I wanted them to feel like they were a part of everything, but I wanted them also to know that I was doing it, because I didn't want them to be like in the dark, like, I'm going to hide these things in your, or I wanted them to be very aware. So if they had hoodsies at school, I would dump hoodsies out and I'd put organic ice cream in the container and flatten it out and bring it back to school for that.
And you knew
day.
She was doing this when she was doing it. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't remember that, but
that was really young. So, but I did tell them because I felt that if they didn't know, then they would have taken the opportunity to eat a hoodsie whenever they felt like it, because because we said that was okay. And I'll let Dylan tell you mostly how it was, but I feel like, in my view, the reason why it worked for us was because it was education. Like, at a very young age, I always told them the why I was doing things. Yeah. And also made them very aware of being kind and compassionate about the way other people were growing up. So I would say, if they were like, oh, Mom, that kid has a red mouth, I would say, well, it's because they don't know. It's not because, someone's trying to hurt them, or it's just that they're unaware of that. So, always be respectful of what other people are doing. So that was part of it. But I needed to be honest, and I thought that was going to be the way to not have them like go off and then
go wild. Yeah. So kind of with this overview of, at least when you guys were young, from your perspective, so you're in elementary school, let's say, or really whenever, was there a time that you can start to remember, like, oh, we eat a little bit differently than my friends, or going out to eat, or a celebration looks different, or my school lunch looks different than my peers?
I mean, I always remember, I never thought like I was left out of anything, because she always did such a good job, like making sure we felt like we were having as much fun as everyone else with the food and stuff. But I feel like 4th and 5th grade, when I'd be like sitting with my friends at lunch who had like marshmallows as a snack, I was always like, I want marshmallows as a snack. And I feel like that was the age where I was like, why do we do this? Because like this girl is also like skinny. Yes. And like, why am I not eating marshmallows for lunch? Because I don't think by then I understood that it was like not just to like look a certain way. But I don't remember like, obviously like her switching out the ice cream and stuff, but I just always remember that she did so much to like make us feel like we could still have like a treat and stuff, but we knew that it was better for you. It wasn't so much to not have or restrict, but rather
it was I want to make that clear. Like, I did not put them on any specific diet. There was no restriction. If they wanted hamburgers, they got hamburgers. They just got grass-fed hamburgers with buns that weren't glyphosate sprayed. So, there was no restriction. If there was ice cream, there was ice cream. It wasn't until later on, and we can, get to this later, but Dylan ended up having an intolerance to dairy, which was a whole nother part of our journey. But there wasn't ever any restriction. If it was pizza, it was pizza with organic mozzarella. And, it just, we always wanted them to feel like they were normal, part of society, which I'm going to say, it was not easy,
I'm sure,
to do that all the time. But their birthday parties were at flatbreads instead of Papagenos. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't do Chuck E. Cheese, we did flatbread pizza. And, but nobody would have really realized, like, except the people that knew, and I did a lot of seminars in the schools, so a lot of parents learned from me while we were going, so that was helpful as well, because a lot of their close friends' parents were switching over and doing the same thing at the same time. So for that, that helped a lot. Especially because they felt like, ooh, that family does that too, or they eat like us.
Yeah.
Was what they would say a lot.
I'm curious too, because I think a lot of listeners and with young kids, because I know with my kids who are still like younger but getting older, definitely that time period that you said like 4th, 5th grade, like why is the girl eating marshmallows and I can't have marshmallows? I can remember.
She still loves marshmallows, by the way.
Who doesn't? Can remember making lunch for my boys and then having no issue. And then one day it was like, why can't I have the Dunkaroos? Or why can't, like, the visual things started to look like cool. Maybe that was like a logo on something, or like the bag chips or whatever.
You're going to have to give her the Dunkaroo recipe.
They didn't want the like the bento box, like those kind of, they wanted like a Nike lunch bag. Anyways, so the peer type of thing. And I think a lot of parents have a hard time because they don't want to make their child feel different or left out, and maybe they don't have the resources or the access or whatever to be able to make some of those swaps. But from your perspective, Dylann,
I had a pizza warmer. Remember that? Do you remember the pizza? I had I found this. I would literally on pizza day, because I was like, oh, this stinks. I got to go to school with like cold pizza.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good, right?
Yeah.
Like I literally found, and it probably was on Amazon or something, like this. It was like a cloth, but it had like thermal. So
you would pack it in that.
Wait, I think I do remember that, and I remember it not working.
Really? Oh, that's sad. Well, I used to put the pizza in there to try and keep it warm.
The intention was there.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
And it's funny you say it. Like, I think that all of these things are bringing up memories for me, because bento boxes were so fun for me to make for the kids, right? And you see these all over social media now. It's a huge thing, right? Or like, which mom can pack the best bento box lunch? Their teachers would call me and be like, can you pack my lunch?
Yeah.
Like, I loved doing that, but they did go through all these phases, like, okay, no more bento box.
Yeah.
Now, no more paper bag. Now I need a paper bag, no lunch boxes, and it had to be a paper bag. And then it was no lunch. Like, no, I'm not bringing any lunch to school.
I think that's just the natural evolution too. But when you were at that age, when you started to become like aware and your classmates were aware, do you feel like, for someone at home who's listening is like, is my kid going to be like truly sitting there feeling like left out, or, everybody's experience is different, obviously, or kind of throwing their lunch away? Or is there anything that I can say to my kid or they can say to their peers that might be helpful to have them explain why maybe they don't have the Cheeto bag with the whatever? Like, did you find yourself in situations as you got older, let's say like preteens, not so much adulthood, or that you found like you were explaining why you were eating the way you were eating to some people, or a conflict within yourself, like being like, I really do want to like have a lunch like that, but I can't.
I mean, I feel like not until like middle school was like the influence of like other people like made me want to like do things. Like in elementary school, I'd be like, oh, like she has such a good lunch, but it never made me think to like want to ask for that or try it. And mom did such a good job like telling us why we had that food and like why our lunches looked different. And so I never like wondered why I wouldn't have like marshmallows for lunch, because I just knew, but I was also like, I just wanted a cooler lunch, you know, because like my carrots weren't as good as like her marshmallows.
Yes.
But I never like felt the urge to try it, or like if somebody had like a Cheeto bag or something, like I never was like, oh, like that looks really good. Like I would never try it. Me and Madison were both like really afraid of ever trying anything too, until like middle school, like late middle school probably, because like she didn't like make us have a fear around it, but it was just we have never had it, and it was just like we knew it wasn't good for us. But once you reach that age, like things become trendy, and you just want to do, like once you hit middle school, most of like your social things and high school are like going out to get food, or like So
Starbucks or like whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So like obviously at that age you want to go with your friends and do what they're doing, but I think for a really long time I knew that I wasn't allowed to like eat what certain people were eating, but probably like 8th grade was the first time or 7th grade was the first time I even ever had Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like a drink.
Did you feel like, I'm just curious, like when you were at that age, which I think is a natural age to kind of push the limit and start to like maybe rebel or kind of not.
And she's my rebel.
Yeah,
She's my
did
rebellious
you
one.
start-
Madison would have been like, we can't do that. No, Dylan would have been like, yeah, we could.
actually used to like, don't kill me, but we would like, if we knew one of us had like tried a snack or something that was not organic and we found out that one of us had done that, we would like hold it against each other. Like if I did something, she'd be like, I'm going to tell mom you ate that. And I was like, oh my God. And so like we never told mom anything because that was like what we hold against each other was like food that we ate.
Yeah.
Like, so, but sorry.
Yeah, no, that's totally, well, I just think it's like, well, exactly kind of that age when you're starting to do things and you can know that like maybe at home this isn't going to fly, but like not even the pressure from your peers, but just kind of being like, I want to see what this, like, I just want to see what this is all about. Like, is it really that bad, quote unquote, for me? Or is it like something that I feel like maybe I'm interested as you're getting older, you're starting to like make your own choices guided by your parents. I think that's natural in all the ways. Did you find yourself as 13, 14, 15, 16, finding yourself in situations where you felt like you were conflicted about what you had learned your whole entire life, that, you know, you're eating for health and you're eating for like, and you're not making choices because they're not good for you internally? Did you find yourself kind of like at a conflict personally, not so much socially? I
mean, until like body image like age starts where like people worry about like what they're eating, I feel like I just like she would still make my food and stuff, so I just ate what she would give me. And like not until high school and later like was I so focused on what I was eating, because I just knew like if mom was making it then it was fine, and that's what I ate. But and also I didn't really go out a lot to eat, like, because we would just eat at the house. So it was just like, I felt like everything I ate I knew was good. Yeah. But until like high school, when I would like go out with my friends and stuff, then it was like I started wanting to try things. And a lot of my friends would, if they found out that I hadn't had that, they were like, oh my God, you have to try it. And I was like, it'd be like a challenge for them to get you. Yeah. And they like wanted to see my reaction, which like I totally get. Because when you tell someone you've never had like McDonald's, they're like, what? You've never had McDonald's? Which I've never tried McDonald's, obviously. But but there are some things where like my friends would be like, you have to try it. And I'd like have a bite of something. I'd be like, it tastes the same as the organic option, which is so much better. So I don't want the other thing. Like, I don't understand why I would choose that over that. So when they're like, have the McDonald's, like, you got to try the McDonald's or you got to try like whatever. When you're saying no to that, are you saying to them like what you're eating is crap? Like, I'm not putting that crap. Are you saying like that? No, I never like told them why. I would just be like, I've eaten organic my whole life. Yeah. Like, I just don't want it. Yeah. Like, it doesn't sound like appealing to me. I used to find in like middle school that this game, like people would guess what restaurants I've tried. And I thought it was the most amazing game ever. Like they'd be like, have you had Wendy's? No. Like every like fast food restaurant, I'd be like, nope, never tried it. And they were like so shocked that I thought it was so cool, which I don't really think they thought it was cool because I just kept saying no. But I was like, keep going. Ask me more. Yes.
But then remember when you'd come home and tell me about the song? What was that song? Kentucky Fried Chicken. There was like a fast food song. The DJ would come and play that song there was this song that would have like McDonald's, Popeye, like, and it would list like all the fast foods. And I was like, this is like a fun game they play at school. It would make me furious. Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
Like highlighting that. So
this is why we need Madison, because she has better memory of you.
I have horrible memory too. My mom the other day was like, do you remember this? Like, and I was like, and it was like 10 years ago. I'm like, I actually have zero recollection. There's not like a little twingly memory. There's none.
Same.
So as a parent, Jenine, when she's going through, let's just say this middle school, early high school, late high school stage, and she's becoming a little more social, they get their license, they're going out. You have given her a good foundation, or both of them a good foundation of education and wise and, plenty of access to a variety of foods without the diet mentality. But that this is just what's happening. They're getting in their car and they're going to go to Bertucci's or Chipotle or wherever, McDonald's. What are you saying to your girls as they navigate this new kind of you're not in control anymore?
Yeah.
Especially for something that's so important to you. How do you communicate to them?
Yeah, I think I would say make the best choices you can. I mean, as they are getting older, you also want them to be able to be a part of their social environment, and you don't want to restrict that too much. Of course, I would try and get them to why don't you tell your friends to go here?
Yes.
Like we would have places that to me are the better than options. And and I'll still say this to today, if I gave them the open door to some place, like if I found out that, and let's say Chipotle is using local produce and better than meat, they're sourcing better than other fast food restaurants. They were using non-GMO corn for their chips. Like if I found out that, and then that became our fast food restaurant, it opened the door. There was no turning back once I said, you can go there.
Yeah.
So, and the older they got, the more that was the case. So I feel like, wow, if I could rewind, because people that have learned from me that their kids are younger now, will say, wow, they do better than we did, right? It's, they don't even give sugar until their kids are 10, we thought even us as a family would be like, wow, they're doing better than we would have done.
Yeah.
In retrospect, for me, it was always, I don't want them to have this bar with this bad ingredient, so I'll give them this bar with these better ingredients, right? But at the end of the day, a bar is a bar.
Sure.
So it's still processed and ultra-processed foods. Like the Cheez-It that is made with real cheese is still a cracker, right? It's just made with real cheese.
Yeah.
So trying to continually teach them even as they were getting older, and it would get definitely more difficult. It's funny because I never felt any pushback from my girls with explaining things until they started to get a little older, And then when they were in their feisty 13, 14 years old, they might have said, you're fat shaming me. If I said, that's a lot of sugar in that, I'd be like, that's not fat shaming.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they did start to kick back. So at that point, I had to say to myself, okay, you've given them so much knowledge. And I think it's the same thing. And I've used this in seminars, when people are like, well, how do you do, you can't restrict everything. Well, as a parent, you decide, I'm going to tell my kids never to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
You don't say, sometimes you can smoke a cigarette, or today this will be okay. You don't do that because you don't ever want them to smoke cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
Also with food, you have to teach them that this is over time that this is going to hurt your body.
Yeah, you're not going to
You're not going to eat it and
get something weird.
You could get sick from something you've never eaten before that's terrible. But you know what I'm saying? You're not talking about you could do a drug and die from it immediately, right? Or you could do these drugs for years and have an addiction, but we know that, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, it's so hard for society to understand that foods are causing disease and illness more than anything else. Mm-hmm. So, and explaining that to someone, it's just like discipline. It's just like your religion. It's just like the way that you teach your child to cross the street and look both ways. To me, that was nutrition was a part of that in our household.
Yeah.
So, and I would
Safety and all
right,
that. Yeah.
and people around you should respect that, because just like they would respect if you have a different religion than them, that's your choice, or if the way that you discipline your kids is your choice. I would say the same thing around food. Like you can't disrespect my way of bringing up my kids to protect them, because in my mind that's, and from my education and science-based evidence, you are protecting your kids when you are building their foundation. And I think we've talked about this in other episodes, but DNA is like not an open, it's not available to be affected after the age of 10 like it is up until that age, right? Like those DNA cells are wide open. So if you can build that foundation for as long as you can, you are protecting their cells and their health and their long-term, ability to fight off disease and illness. So, I mean, it was very, very, very important to us. But like I said, as they did get older, I fingers crossed and hoped and prayed that they would make the best decisions possible.
Whenever they could.
Yeah.
I think something I'm curious about, and I'm sure some listeners might be, is that there is, and like you both can speak to this, there could be a confusing line with eating healthy and as you get older as a woman, like body image and diet culture and, what your peers are and I think are doing and not doing, or what girls are talking about or what's on Instagram. And I think that there's, even with women all the time, there's a confusion between diet and health. Like I'm eating, there's that line of like, am I eating healthy or am I dieting? It's two different approaches. And I
want to say I have been approached with, people would say, well, what if you cause an eating disorder, And again, I feel like restricted diets and educating your children about what's healthy and what's not. I mean, we grew up that way, and we've had that conversation before with, we didn't grow up drinking soda at every meal. Like there was a reason why, because soda's not healthy. So you could have it when we didn't even know what was in it on a special occasion, right? But now we're so scared because of that diet culture and that eating disorder, how it has evolved over time. We're so scared to speak to that.
Yeah.
To me, it is very different. And I'm sure Dylann can talk about it, but also at their age, it's so hard to look at somebody who is like very thin and looks healthy, but eats like absolute crap.
Yeah.
And be somebody that eats so well that maybe feels in their own body like, I'm not that thin and I eat I'm supposed to be eating really good. Why is she that thin? You know what I mean? Not understanding that genetics plays such a big role, especially when you're young, your metabolism. And as you get older, you'll see that the food will affect those people that were maybe thinner when they were younger. And you, same thing. How well you've been eating is going to affect how your body is as you get older. So, but that was also, I think, a lot of teaching went into that, because even now they see women, men that look very fit and healthy that don't eat very well.
Can you see the difference between the two within like your friends or whatever, like maybe yourself and your sister and other peers who have more a health focused mindset versus a diet focused mindset, and then maybe some friends or just people in the world that have more of a restrictive diet but are still eating like poor choices? Is that something that like you feel like is prevalent in your college age? That misunderstanding.
I mean, who like what teenager doesn't go through like body image issues?
Of course.
So like, yes, with like all the knowledge that I have, I feel like it was easier for me to just keep eating the way I've always eaten. But also like I learned so much about what I was eating and not as much of like how much are you eating and how that's going to affect you like eventually, which she will teach me anything that I ask. But just like I feel like once I like junior and senior year was just like, I was trying so hard to like look my best for like certain things, and like it's just harder when you see, like, I've eaten healthy my entire life, so you think that would make such a difference. But like it's really just, I mean, obviously as I got older I didn't eat as healthy, but I also just like, I try, but I just, when you're around your friends who like eat different and they look so much better than you, you're like, what am I doing wrong? Because like I have all this knowledge, and like I always felt really like good that I was the one that like knew all this stuff, and like when my friends would ask me, I'd be like, oh, like I can help you. But I also felt weird because you look better than me, so like why am I the one giving you like advice on food? Because like,
well, in your mind they look better than you.
Right, but
that's not necessarily true. And it's also, I think, important to bring up that you see a lot of young athletes look really fit because of how much exercise they're getting and how high their metabolism is at that age, right?
Yeah.
So you see these kids that are eating not the best diets, and they can look ripped, and muscular, and it's easier at that young age to look that way.
I also like grew up dancing, which is like another thing that is, everybody's focused on what they look like because you're in a mirror all day.
Yeah, and when you're dancing,
clothes.
yeah.
And so I feel like with that too, it's like obviously it brings up a lot of like, you just want to look your best in front of like when you're on a stage or like even in the studios, like, and I talk to my teammates about this all the time. Like it's like a competitive nature anyways. And then when you look different than someone, you look like a different type of dancer because like we have such a like stereotype around what they're supposed to look like. But now that I'm like a little bit older and I don't dance like in a competitive studio, I think, and I'm not living with my mom all the time and stuff, like I've learned to balance it by myself, and obviously from all her education, but and I have friends who strive to like do the same thing. Like my best friend is more like dedicated to like working out and eating healthy than I am, so she like motivates me to like do the same thing, and we work out together, and like I'll tell her to listen to this.
Yes.
But so honestly, like I kind of lost like that desire to like eat healthy and like work out all the time, and when we got really close, we did 75 hard together last year, and like that brought back like the feeling that like I like to eat healthy and I like to work out and I am doing it to feel good, but I also was, at the time I was doing it more to like look better. But then I learned, like once I went through like all my different stomach issues and stuff, like I started to learn like what made me feel better, and then eventually I felt like I was looking different. And so I mean, it's all about like who you're surrounded with too, because then I have some friends who love to like go out and get food, and I'm like, I love hanging out with these people, and then I love like hanging out with my friends who like want to work out, and like, so it is like, because my sister doesn't work out as much as me, and but she doesn't have, like, my best friend is the one who like gets me to go to the gym every day and like actually like works me out.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't have that, and so I think she just like I really just think it's like who you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And I also like, obviously I grew up like that, so I know like mom has always told me that like your abs are made in the kitchen. That's all I remember. Like,
yes,
that is like
true.
that like runs through my head like every day, because people will post on like TikTok like their ab routine and stuff, and like people will do it and be like, oh, like this helped, but like, and then some people will be like, why don't I have abs? Like I do this every day. I'm like, because they're made in the kitchen.
Yes.
Like,
so totally.
They're also made in genes. They're made in genetics.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot. Like
Yeah.
you see, there's a lot of influencers on social media that have incredible abs, and you're just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, it's also like wellness girls are like a trending thing. They've been for so long, so it's like you follow what they do, and like making vlogs of your day and like being a wellness girly is like fun, which I love to be like a wellness girl. But like me and my friends say that all the time. We're like, this is like our whole personality. But so you follow what they're doing because you see that every day and you're like, oh, well, their routine, what they're eating, like their workouts are working for them. But like, I also have always had a hard time like keeping a consistent routine because I just get like bored of it. Like I like to change things. But I think now that I'm older and like in college, like I have nothing to do on like a random day if I have no class. So like I'm just going to go to the gym. But I don't know. I think like now that it's become such a trend, it's just more popular, like eat healthy and work out. And I always feel like I've had like the upper hand with that because I know so much. But now it's not as much like what you're eating, but it's like a calorie deficit and like lowering the amount of things you eat. And I don't know as much about that. And so like if my friends are doing that, I'm like, I always feel like it's wrong. I'm like, but just eat like lettuce or something.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think everything is like a double-edged sword. You know, you can see positives or things that can be problematic in it. And I do think like that thought process of who you surround yourself with will stay with you your whole life. Like the more you surround yourself with the people with like-minded stuff, the more like working out and eating well and reading books and being kind and whatever it is, the more likely you are to do that. And then vice versa. And we'll always have people in our lives who are probably, you know, our friends that maybe aren't the best influence, but doesn't mean we can't hang out with them. But the majority of the time, which I'm glad that you found that. I think Instagram and TikTok and all of those things are a slippery slope. I do think it's awesome that more people are talking about, you know, wellness, if that's, you know, wellness girlies out there. I do think that's important because you're just aware.
It's actually great that it is trending.
It is trending.
It can be, like you said, a double-edged sword in that.
But I think it starts to think about, and a lot like younger, I think, you know, back in our day, people would start thinking about taking good care of yourself in your 30s and 40s because maybe you saw age creeping in. So to have that, and maybe that's an influence on our kids a little bit coming from us, influence down, prioritizing working out and stuff. But I do think that also it can be confusing or misleading because the word wellness and health is often confused with calorie deficit and things like that. And so for you to have the strong base that your mom taught you at the end of the day, I feel like hopefully you'll always come back to it, even if you do try different things along the way just to see what they feel like. I'm curious, and from like both of you, as now you're in college, and I actually am curious, first tell me this, and then I'll ask that question. How do you manage food in college? So you're a freshman, your sister's a junior, right? So how, and they go to the same school, how do you manage eating relatively well, healthy?
Yeah. I mean, first semester, I think I went to the dining hall like maybe 10 times. Like I tried my best to never go there, not even because like the food isn't organic or whatever, but it's also just gross. Yeah. And like I didn't want to go there. But I'm also lucky because I have my sister and she has a house. So I meal prepped a lot at her house. And also I spent a lot of time with her last semester. So I feel like half my meals in a week were with her, at least half of them. And my suite mates actually also love to like eat healthy and go to the gym. So if they went home for a weekend or something, like they would bring back food. And if my mom would come visit me, she'd bring me a bunch of food that I could have for like a few weeks. But it's not easy when you don't have a kitchen because that's why I think so many freshmen like struggle with it because the dining hall is like the healthy options there aren't good. Like you can make good tasting healthy food at home, but when you have like literally just lettuce and like cucumbers, it's like gross. But I would just prep like sweet potatoes at my sister's house or something that I could just like eat with lettuce that I could get from the dining hall or something. And she would also make me food all the time. I mean, she likes to cook when I come over, so we'll like cook together. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that I had, because my suite mates were like helpful with that because we all didn't want to go to the dining hall. So it wasn't like a social thing to go. I mean, it is to like meet people. It's like, what else are you supposed to do? Yeah. But they would like, if we we're not going to the dining hall, we'd be like, let's order Sweetgreen or something again. Like,
Yeah.
so we just like do the best we could, but yeah.
Yeah. Probably if your sister wasn't there, it'd be a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her
Oh,
apartment.
100%. I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah. I can remember being a freshman and having no like outside source than the dining commons really. And just being like, I feel like I lived off just dry cereal because the vegetables like gross me out. So I just would just eat like, fill up a cup of like dry cereal and just munch on that because I felt like for some reason it was the safest thing. I just felt like anything that was healthy was like so unappealing because it was like slimy or I have no idea.
I had a lot of peanut butter and jelly.
A lot of peanut butter. Yes.
And
when we moved me in, I think we got snacks for like 5 months. Like we were like, we got enough snacks in just my dorm, like my side of the dorm for like 30 people.
Yes.
So I had snacks until the end. It was really me. Like when we went into Costco, I was like, I'm going to need everything. But I think I didn't realize like it was good to have because I wasn't eating like 3 full like heavy meals a day. So it was good to have like snacks. But then when they were all sitting there, I'm like, well, now I just want a snack because I sit in my room. So I definitely am not getting that many snacks again.
Yeah.
But I had like bags of chia seeds or oats, and I would like make overnight oats and stuff, which was sometimes I'd have it for like breakfast and dinner because there was nothing else to do and I could make it in my dorm, so it was easy.
Yeah.
And also I would go to Whole Foods with my sister and like get a bunch of stuff just to like have in my dorm.
Yeah.
And my sweet mates and I would like make sweet treats like date caramel and stuff, like random stuff that we could make in our dorm with a microwave. And a blender. I had a blender too, so I made a lot of smoothies this semester.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really don't know what I'd do without my sister because people that don't have a car too, like can't go to Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Because like the only thing that the shuttle takes you to is like Shaw's, which I could make work, but like I love Whole Foods.
Yeah.
It's like a hobby for me to go
Yeah,
there.
I know. It is a nice little kind of walk through.
Yeah.
Feel like you're kind of.
I mean, we have to say that in today's world, though, like most people, you can get things delivered to your dorm. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of like healthier options for delivery services if you look for them, you know? So I feel like you could do better if you have the information and the knowledge to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing with like when you're dropping your kids off at college and you are seeing what other parents are bringing in. And again, it's not that they're trying to kill anyone.
Yes.
It's that they don't know any better. But like there's cases of Febreze and detergents with fragrances and cleaning products that are toxic, and you're dropping your child off there that you have like kept in this safe environment for so long, right? And so now that was really difficult, like to leave them there, to let go, because you've kept them in this safe environment, you've fed them this good food, and now you're leaving them alone with nobody they know, with terrible food and all this
Febreze.
in a case of Febreze.
People like at school and just even at home, like in general, always ask me like, is it like, has it given you like issues with like living at school and stuff and not having like my mom like food to make basically, and like and like I always used to like get comments if like I had a gym. Like I remember people telling me that because I ate so healthy and like my mom taught me that and I had a gym, like why didn't I look so skinny? And sorry, this was like a total change of subject.
No, this is good.
But like they didn't mean it in a bad way. They were just like, you have a free gym, like
you have access to all this stuff.
And I think those comments like not many. I think I got that comment like one time, but it just like stuck with me because I was like, you're right. Like I have a gym and I have so much education. Like why don't I use it? Like, and that's when I was like younger, so I wouldn't use the gym really because I hated going to the gym. I was just like whatever. But that was like the question that I got all the time was just like, and did knowing all that like give you issues with food and stuff? And like I've had issues with food in the past, but like I don't think it ever stemmed from like knowing what I know from my mom. Like, I think if anything, it's helped me like
I was gonna say
redirect like whatever was going on. But it's more like you never have an issue with like what's healthy or not, because I've known that my whole life. Like I can tell like anything, like mom will yell at me if I like accidentally come home with something that wasn't organic, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize. But obviously I realized because I know when things are organic or not. Like I know what's healthy and what's not. But like I think the issue has always been that I didn't know until I got older that like you can't just like eat until your stomach hurts. Yeah. Like you have to slow down and like watch how you feel. And I think that's like where also my stomach issues came from, because I was eating healthy, but I wasn't eating the right amount, and I wasn't watching what was hurting my stomach. But anyway, sorry, that was so random.
No, now you're like great. You're more mindful of what's going in and how you feel after you eat it. Like that's like so mature and
totally. Before your years of understanding
like, that takes some people a very long time to figure out.
Well, once I got technically diagnosed with colitis, but I don't really think I have it anymore. Can you like get rid of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, after I did,
some people might say no.
Yeah.
I mean, they told me to go on. She probably told you this because this was right before I did that. What is
reset cleanse? Yeah.
That I'd have to be on medication, and like every time my mom tells me that I can fix something with food, I'm like, you're lying. Like I just think that's like the holistic.
And probably you're thinking, I've eaten so well so long, like how am I gonna fix it? Like why do I even have this problem? Like what else can I do?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, no, like I'm probably gonna have to go on medication like at some point in my life. But then I don't know like when this happened in my brain, but like I just felt like, I mean, maybe after the cleanse with you, like I just knew that if I like watched exactly what I was eating and like could tell when something bothered me, I could eventually just like heal my gut by myself. I just like thought that I could do that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it's like completely healed, but I can now eat like a cookie that may have like butter in it or something, and it won't bother me because I've like fixed the way my stomach is.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I'm home, it's a lot easier. When I'm at school, it's like limited things to eat and stuff. So my stomach, and like with stress and stuff, my stomach just always hurts at school. But now that I've been home for a little while, I'm like, wow, like I forgot that I can like regulate my stomach issues with food. Like I don't think my stomach has hurt this entire time I've been home. Yeah. So and then like if it does, I'm like, what did I eat? Because it's been like months without it hurting anymore.
Yeah, I think all those things
she's like crying.
I think all those things you just said are so like smart to understand, like to heal like the underlayer of it, and then things won't impact you as much. And then also, I'm sure you know, but stress is like such an impact, especially on like digestion. So maybe as you go back to school, this is just the mother in me right now. Maybe as you go back to school, like stress management is like a new thing to goal. Like how do I manage stress?
Yeah, I know a journal that might help.
Okay.
I'll give it to her that way instead of you. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have it. I don't know where it went. Yeah. Just kidding. It's in my closet.
So to kind of wrap this up, Jenine, what are some thoughts that you have as your two children that you've like given every ounce of your attention and love and support and education as they move through their adult years, and what you're seeing them make as choices as far as you can see? How do you feel? Like, I don't want to say like you did, but like, you know, I think people probably say to you, do you think some of this might give them some issues with how they view food as a girl and I'm sure there were times in your life that you're like, is this creating stress, or is this kind of making socially, and like you adjusted not what you believed in, but maybe your approach in some of the things, as we do in all areas of parenting. But like, are you like sitting back and you're like, yeah, I did a good job?
You know what's funny is thanks. I feel, and I'm not just saying this because my daughter's here, But I feel extremely lucky with my girls. Like I love them more than I could ever thought I could have loved two people in my entire life, right? Like I think you don't even understand love like you do until you have children. But so I know that I've given them all of that. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. We're human. And I think you have to give yourself grace, all you young moms out there, for the times where you are not doing the right thing or there is no perfect way to do things. I will say that I never, not once during the time where I was making the decisions where we were emptying the Hoodsy cup, thank you. Where I was heating up the pizza, where I was educating them on food or health. Never once did I feel like you're going to screw them up.
Yeah.
That was never a thought in my mind, not once. And if it was asked of me, I would always say, I don't restrict anything with my kids, which in retrospect, if I had known what was going on with Dylan, and we didn't discuss this and it's too long of a story, but just to give you a little bit of an idea, she was 3 the first time we found out something was not right going on GI-wise. And she went to 2 major hospitals in Boston. She went to Tufts Medical, she went to Children's. And at one point, they literally put us, it always reminds me of E.T. when like the like white tent goes up you're in like masks, and they thought we had like E. coli and traveled outside the country or something because she had blood in her stool and such distension in her belly, and she was young, and they kept us overnight. They did testing, wanted to put her on a steroid indefinitely. Imagine what that would have done to a 3-year-old to be on a steroid indefinitely. We ended up going to specialists and found this specialist that had happened to be from Germany and did things very different there, and had said, why don't you try taking dairy out of her diet? It's something that usually causes symptoms like this. And so within 2 weeks we did that, and there was no bloating, no distension in her belly, there was no pain, the blood went away in her stool, which, and that this is like, I'm kind of summarizing the story so that I can say it quickly, but this was over time. This was like after going to like the best hospital in the world for children and getting all not correct answers, basically, and learning things that, and then I would do more research. I'm like all about the research. So, I feel like it's you're in a constant learning place when you have children on everything, right? Like the way that you're going to discipline them. Sometimes you're doing it and it doesn't work. The way that you are, how you speak to them and how much you can tell them and how much you want to talk to them about. All those things are like, that's learned as
and it's different with each kid,
and it's
too.
different with each kid. Yeah. I mean, my kids are definitely both very different, but also like so kind and empathic and compassionate and good, and they want to do good in the world. And like, I mean, I can't take credit for that. I think that's I really believe that that's innate in both of them, but I'm just so lucky, and it could have went differently, and I may be feeling very different about what I'm saying right now. So, you don't know. You have to be flexible in the fact that, you want to teach them the right things, but it's like, I mean, just because a child ends up doing drugs or getting addicted to something doesn't mean they had a bad parent.
Yeah.
It just, they could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. They could have, so I feel very blessed and very lucky that they have the mindset and the intelligence to make decisions on their own and be who they are on their own.
Yeah. I think that's a tool you'll have forever. And I feel like you said, like when you have doubted maybe not your health, not food or not like nutrition, but like maybe because you want a different body size or you've struggled with like something exterior, at the end of the day, you found yourself kind of coming back to like, it sounds like health, like even if that's kind of been the thing that's kind of pulled you out of maybe a mindset or a want, that ultimately health is what you're gonna get. And I just want to say, because teenage years, oh my gosh, are so challenging, or can be, and they run the gamut of extremes and ebbs and flows for everybody. Like, it's not, and as adults too, but like you said a couple times, my friends, were eating like this and they were skinnier or this or that. And like a lot of times I think we lose sight, especially in our younger puberty type of years, but as adults too, that health isn't necessarily an external, it's an internal thing. Health is internal. And so, I see a lot of teens that maybe they are thin because metabolism, genetics, whatever it might be, but they have a face full of acne, or they, have other things that are going on that you can trace back to the food. But I think without that education and information, we equate like food thinness, and for a lot of women that carries through their whole life. And like, I'm sitting here looking at Dylann and she's like stunning with like flawless skin and beautiful hair and, healthy, glowing, and all of the things. And I have no doubt that that's from the inside out. And that will be something that will be with you forever when you like foster it and you take care of it. And like you said, the other thing that you said that was just so smart is that when you did listen to your body, like when you were going through the 75 hard and you were starting to like maybe make some better or different food choices after like the cleanse and stuff like that, is that ultimately you did see changes in your body and what you were striving for, but it was because you were listening to what your body needed. And that's usually the case if we stop fighting it or forcing it into these holes, that ultimately if we take care of it and listen to our unique individual body, not what your sweet mate's doing or not what my neighbor's doing or not what the person on Instagram, maybe that motivates us, maybe that can give us some ideas. But if we like turn it inward and we listen to ourselves, ultimately that's when we're going to feel the best, and most of the time like look our best too. So
I want to say too, because I think it's so interesting that everyone in our house, like, people will say, oh, my kids won't eat that, or my kids won't eat this, and eating is a learned behavior, so it does start like from the very beginning. But I also feel like everyone in our house eats very differently. Like, not that we can't sit down and have a meal, because we do all the time and everybody loves the meal. Like, my kids have never been like picky or don't want things on their plate or anything like that. Again, I feel very lucky with that. But like, Dylann and Brian will be like, I feel like steak. You know what I mean? And Madison and I are like, no. Yeah. We don't feel like that, But so like, it is interesting that if you listen to what you want and need, at the same time, she knows that like the majority of her plate is going to be vegetables and nutrient dense foods, and that, she lives a balanced lifestyle with her diet and she listens to what her body needs. I think that's going to work the best. Yeah. But also to understand that can also look different than your plate. And it can both be the same thing. Yeah.
I think that's I remember like telling mom too, like, because before I did, and during 75 hard, like I was so focused on what I was eating that I like literally forgot what like hunger cues felt like at some point. I was like, why do I never feel hungry? I'm just always full, because I was just eating healthy, but I was just eating a lot. Yeah. And I remember like telling her that I never felt hungry. I was just like, why am I always like this? And she helped me like figure that out again and stuff. So people ask me too, like all the time, like if I would rather not have grown up this way, but I would literally, like, I'm so grateful that I grew up this way. Like I can't wait to like teach my kids this. And like, I always wonder too, like how she did that, because sometimes I see people do it. I'm like, kids just like want to eat whatever they eat. Like, how did you? Yeah. So you're going to have to help. Yeah. But like, I'm grateful that I know all that I know. And Like I never have once been like, once I move out, I'm never gonna eat like this again. Like
I'm going off the rails.
Yeah,
and like,
no.
yeah.
So
She teaches me things now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she is a wellness girly.
Yeah.
So.
Oh God, I shouldn't have said that.
That's going to be the title of
Yeah.
this
Oh, God.
podcast.
And that's the cool thing is now that you've raised someone that has like, or two daughters that have like similar thought process to you, like that's must be the coolest thing is that like they can teach you stuff or they can be like, I think you told me like the date thing, like they told you one of the like date sweet treat type of things that they made or whatever. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like really like a sweet / again, should be proud of yourself that you stuck to your, I don't know, conviction's the right word. What consistency?
I mean, a consistency is like so important.
To your point, it is hard. It's
hard, but it's important.
When you never doubt what you're doing is the right thing, it makes it easier because you don't have that internal conflict, but there's external conflict. There's external things saying like, it's just easier to do this or just buy this or don't whatever. So
and it's like, it's part of like memories. Like, and we've talked about that before, right? Like we went to a farmer's market in Vermont once, and I always bring this up because it just goes to show you how deep set like your memories surrounding food and like comfort and fun. And you know, we went to this farmer's market and I was like, they have snow cones.
You were more excited than them.
Blueberries, and I'm like, you guys are getting a snow cone. Like, you're getting a snow cone. You're getting cotton candy. Like, oh my God, try it. You know, I think somewhere we found they were making like fried dough, and it was like, but it was made with good ingredients and healthier fried dough. And I hate saying that because, you know, fried dough and health are not in the same sentence. But, you know, keep that in mind. Like, I want everybody to always remember that because people would be like, well, is there a healthier cookie, you know, or is this, what's the healthy version of this, you know? And I'm like, no, you missed the point. It's not the healthy version, right? But I also want to say that too, like people say to you all the time, like as they get older, they do come back to you and they do hear things a little bit different. And it has evolved. Like I remember at one point I asked both of them, like, will you feed your kids like I fed you? And they probably answered a little differently than Dylan just said today. Like, I think Madison was like, I'm going to, at one point she was like, I'm going to feed my kids really healthy, but not like you.
Yes.
Not as bad as you.
Well, I remember saying that we would like always teach them the same like in the house, but we'd be more like lenient like about like restaurants and stuff. But now that I'm older, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like when you do that, and I know families that have done that, then the kids just like
grow up. That's what it is.
Yeah. So like because we were so like not like disciplined, but it was just more like
it is.
That it stuck better with us. I think.
Which is like honestly like in all areas of life. That is just the human nature. Like you need
and it's all I know
to like teach your body and your mind that this is what we do. Yeah. I mean, when you think of any sort of discipline or punishment of your kids, if you're like, you can't watch TV until 8:00 at night, one show, and then you're like 3 nights of the week, you're like, well, you can watch it at 7 or 6 because I'm busy and I can't focus. Then it's like all of a sudden every night they're watching it from like 6 to 9.
Right.
So it's just like
you give them that control, they're going to take it, right?
Totally.
It's like, it's so important. Consistency.
Well, this was so great. I think that one, like you're so like tuned into yourself. It's just an awesome thing and refreshing to hear and to see. And I know I hear it all the time from Jenine about you guys, but to have a conversation with you is awesome. So thank you for coming on and sharing with us your point of view and your perspective. And thank you, Jenine, for continuing to like definitely inspire and motivate me as a parent of kids who aren't yet adults. I know I am always leaving these parent-kid type of conversations around food feeling not that necessarily I can do better because it's not about shame. It's like I feel more motivated, inspired to where those decisions can take you, and even that much more now, you know, talking to Dylan and not hearing her say, I am now like that. It was it's landed positively in her life as a young adult. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you guys real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.